Hey, you, listen up. The NFL season is rolling right along, and DraftKings, as an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is bringing you all the action and all the best deals. Look me in the eye. If you somehow have not signed up for DraftKings yet, well, I got a great deal for you. Download the app. Use the promo code T-Bob, T-B-O-B, and when you bet $5 on any NFL game, you get $200 in bonus bets instantly, which you can then go play with. But T-Bob, I love snaps, I love you, and I've already signed up. Well, guess what? DraftKings is taking care of all their customers throughout spooky season as you get game day sweeteners the entire month of October. So whether you're new, whether you've been around here for a while, DraftKings is the most fun place to play. It's taking care of you. Again, if you're signing up for the first time, promo code T-Bob, $5 NFL bet, nets you $200 in bonus bets instantly. So let's have some fun watching the games this spooky season. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Yo, what's happening, everyone? What's going on, app? And what's up, everyone listening in the future? This is Snaps, your favorite daily college football podcast. I'm T-Bob Hebert. He is Aaron Murray, and we would like you to cozy up, grab a drink. Maybe you're in the car, turn your brain off, forget about your financial worries, your relational concerns, whatever's maybe frustrating you this day, and allow yourself to sink into the warm, comfortable pillow that is college football talk. Aaron, what's up, man? How we feeling today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I know we're going to discuss this a little bit, but I'm still enjoying the back and forth. God, Twitter's such a bad place
It's the best place.
The middle of arguments between Georgia and Auburn fans, the middle of Texas and Oklahoma fans at the moment. It is quite entertaining.
Yeah, it's the best.
Some stupidity along the way, but very entertaining.
And of course you're doing well. You're spending a week at the lake with one less child. Your grandparents are watching the kids. You're golfing all morning with friends and family. I mean, yeah, tough week over there, huh?
It's been bad. It's been tough, man. I hope my wife doesn't see this because she thinks like I've been taking care of the baby like 24/7. Like, man, like I'm letting my parents kind of live like their life, what they usually do during the week.
No
and
chance.
Then, they're watching them in the afternoons. Like, played golf yesterday. Just got done with golf about an hour ago. Whooped Dan Mullen's butt a little bit. Took some money off him.
Damn. Okay. I didn't want to say it until you did. So Snap's official news, Aaron Murray kicked Dan Mullen's ass on the golf course today.
Let's go, Dan.
And took money off that man. Jeez.
No, I didn't take money. We didn't bet. We didn't gamble. But if
allegedly,
we were gambling, yeah, it was a bloodbath. I birdied 2 of the first 5, so it was a good day.
Okay. Okay, that's enough of that. YouTube.com/@volumesnaps. 6K hit, 7K in our sights, guys. Okay. The road to 7K, then 8, then 9, then 10. And the only way we can do it to grow the show and show the volume that we should keep Snap going, you want to be there, is with you liking and subscribing. And our opening comment comes from YouTube. Swamp Donkey 8732 says, my nickname for lad is Mahonky. Also, I agree with Aaron. The O-line is really holding the offense back at this point. I actually found some numbers that talk about this, so we wanted to get into it. Gold's Bim says, my family calls him Lad McConkadonk. And then one Shaquille 9 says, I call him Mac Honky. I think we're doing too much of the last. I think Lad Mahonky's the funniest. It's, kiss method. Keep it simple, stupid. All right, on today's show, we're going to talk a little A&M Alabama. We'll get into the Texas OU war with Aaron. Continue to preview what is one of the most exciting Triple R in about a decade outside of the Bollywood one. I have a question for you, Aaron Murray, and some of this came from I was trying to explore the differences between Michigan and UGA thus far. And I wonder, will Michigan be ready to play a full 60 minutes? We'll get to that a bit later. And then finally, LSU's defense is the literal worst in the Power 5. And I'll explain what I mean there. It is shocking. It is atrocious. It is awful. But let's start with the Texas A&M Aggies and Jimbo Fisher. Howdy, y'all. College Station going to be going crazy this weekend. Alabama coming to town. Nick Saban, you should have had him 2 years ago in College Station. You let it slip through your hands. You should have had him last year with Jalen Milroe. You let it slip through your hands. And now you have another opportunity. Alabama down. You are seemingly up, as we laid out, I think, on this show, or at least whatever, sometime. Bobby Petrino is, even if he's not one of the top OCs of the country or anything, he is an unqualified success in the context of who A&M was and has been the last couple of years versus who they seem to be this year. But the question was posed, is Jimbo's job on the line this weekend, right? How much does this matter? What if Texas A&M does not win this game, Aaron Murray? How much hot water is Jimbo in?
See, I'll phrase it like this. If he wins this game and they go 8-4, he's still going to keep his job. If he loses this game and they go 8-4, there's a major question of if he keeps his job. Like, that's how important this game is. Like, this is a game that no matter what the results at the end of the season are going to be, like, you can win this and still not make it to Atlanta. And I think fans will be like, well, they beat Alabama. He beat Saban that 2 of the past 3 years. I guess we'll keep him for another year and see if he can make it happen next season. It's like, I think this saves the job. I don't think losing it necessarily says that, like, okay, come Monday morning, there's even more discussions about him getting fired. But I think if it's a snowball effect of all of a sudden you start losing a couple more down the line, you lose to LSU, you're once again an 8-4 football team, that's a problem. Because I think you and I talked about this, like a few weeks ago. $70 million buyout after this season, 60 after the next, 50 after the next. Like, is $10 million, $20 million really that big of a deal for you to keep him for another 2 seasons? I would say in the eyes of Texas fans and all the money in that state, probably not. So if you're going to want to get rid of him, there's not a real difference between this year and 2 years from now. You're going to get rid of him now. So I think this is a game that saves his job if he's able to pull it off.
What's funny about this is, once again, Aaron, we've been doing this too long together because we are simpatico. I literally wrote Jimbo's job isn't on the line. I just framed it a bit differently. I said it's not on the line because even if Jimbo loses this game, 9-3 still feels very realistic. And if you go 9-3, you're not going to get fired. And what maybe sucks for A&M fans in this regard is I don't think many Aggie fans have any belief that Jimbo Fisher will lead them to a championship. But he's also doesn't appear to be a complete disaster a la the 5-7 year last year, right? And so what you end up entering is a bit of football purgatory, right? Where Jimbo is good enough to where you cannot justify paying the absurd price tag to move on, but not good enough to win a championship, stuck in a little bit of no man's land. Although, look, I don't know if that's completely fair. I mean, after last year, like we have seen Jimbo go 9-1 in 2020, although 2020 is an asterisk year and it's hard to draw any major conclusions. Like he's been close before. If you go 9-3, I would maybe have some hope that Jimbo could get you back to the top, maybe next year.
I would say no. And I would say 8-4 is it gets really interesting at 8-4 because if you lose this game, that's
without an Alabama win, yes. If you're 8-4
without an Alabama
win, yes.
If you lost to Miami, you lose to Alabama. Say you lose to Ole Miss and LSU, you're 8-4. You're not feeling good, and I do think there's more pressure. I think part of the issue too is there's pressure in the state. Texas is we've done our breakdown, and if you've missed that, make sure you go back and watch Monday's show because we did our top 10 rankings after this past weekend. Texas at the moment's the best team in the country, and they're going to have an opportunity to prove it this week versus Oklahoma. We'll continue to break that down this show and tomorrow. But like now, all of a sudden, if you are 8-4, Texas is a playoff football team. Say Texas does win a national championship. I think that then knowing that they're coming into the SEC, that's going to be your team. You're going to be playing every single year. They already have the bigger brand in the state. You feel like you've made all this progress over the past decade that you guys haven't played them. You kind of feel like it's all been for a waste. And now you don't have a championship to show for it either. And Texas does or could. So I think all that plays into the discussion of keeping Jimbo, not keeping Jimbo. I was saying, like, if you don't like him now, are you really going to give him 2 more years knowing the buyouts, like in a dollars and cents really for that fan base and donors really not that big of a difference?
Yeah, but what if he goes?
If you don't think he's going to win you a championship, and he's 8-4 this year without the win versus Alabama, I'm not keeping him if I don't think he's going to do it.
I think you've hit on a very salient point, which is that in a funny, wonderfully quirky, college football is built on the petty hatreds of one group of people versus another. It would be Texas's success that could end up being the pressure applied to the situation to make it crack. Like if Texas still sucked, okay, maybe we can accept 8-4. But if Texas is out here going 12-0, winning the Big 12 with dubs over Alabama and Tuscaloosa and Oklahoma, they're in the playoff. Well, then all of a sudden you got to go, Jimbo, because we got to get better. It's very odd to think about, but it also
I brought that up about Billy Napier too at Florida, and it's only year 2 for Billy compared to Jimbo, but for Florida fans, I think there is more anger already about the situation they're in because Georgia is back-to-back national champs. Georgia's probably going to win the SEC again, and Florida State is a top 5 team and looks like they're going to win the ACC. It's like your biggest 2 rivals who you compete with, and then plus Miami and the State's having a good year too. You feel like you're falling behind, and that's for these schools. It's unacceptable, especially because I think the biggest thing is like you're recruiting the same type of players. Like Texas is recruiting the same guys as Texas A&M.
Yeah,
and it's hard for me unless there's just an incredible amount of NIL difference between the two, and I really don't think there is. That a kid in that state wouldn't pick Texas over A&M. Austin, Texas. I'm sorry, Austin's a better town than College Station. Texas has a bigger brand. Facilities, I would say, are on par with each other, but Texas is still the big brother in the state. Like you don't want to fall behind them because then you want to talk about falling into a dark space. You could fall into a dark space where your fan base starts kind of revolting on the entire program.
Yeah, and really where the Texas A&M rivalry goes even deeper as compared to something like Georgia, Florida, or Florida State is that like A&M, literally ran away, like they went to a different conference, right? Like tried to escape from little brothers, from Big Brother's shadow. And now even though Big Brother was an asshole and a drug addict and fumbled around for years and couldn't get his shit together, well, guess what? He's prodigal son returns, and all of a sudden he's sober, he's looking jacked up, his life is moving in the right direction, and he's moving back in. What's up, little bro? Tech's gonna walk in and take A&M and just give him a fucking noogie. Like all Aggie fans is going to be crying.
So true.
So upset.
It's so true. It's so damn true. I mean, that is exactly what's going to happen.
But if A&M beats Alabama, then okay, then little bro says, hold on, dude, I've been hitting the gym too now, dog. Don't fuck with me. Don't rub my head, dude. Okay, I'm an adult now. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Who are you taking as a head coach right now, today? Who is more credibility?
I would take,
because you don't like Sark at all. Like, would you take Jimbo?
No. Time out. Shut up, Aaron Murray.
You don't like Sark.
I have no personal issue with Sark. He's never won 10 games. He has a resume that was unimpressive. But you know what? So I love biographies. Why am I blanking on the best? Walter Isaacson. Okay. I love his biographies. And he wrote the Ben Franklin one. And in that, Franklin talks about, look, I never want to be the type of person that is so entrenched in my own beliefs that if I'm presented with objective evidence to the contrary of what I've stated, that I won't change my opinions. And so, yes, when Sark was winning 9 games a year his entire career at other places where people winning 10s, he wasn't doing good. I was banging the drum that he sucks. If Texas finishes this off and they go undefeated and they play in the playoff and all these sorts of things, well, then I can't still bang that drum. And so I'll accept that he's good. And I'm also someone that, using the evidence, believes that Jimbo is well past his prime. Whatever he had around 2013 in that run of Florida State dissipated a long time ago. Remember, he is objectively worse than Kevin Sumlin. So, no, you asked me that question today with all the evidence I have at hand, I would take Sark over Jimbo.
I would too. But I've been more of a Sark believer than you have over the past couple of years, and and now all that's kind of coming out. And hopefully, I mean, listen, this could be an interesting weekend for A&M. And I don't want to sleep on Oklahoma at all. Like, Oklahoma's a good football team.
Well, I want to get into that.
Let's play this scenario out. Like, what happens if A&M wins and Texas loses? Like, how do we view all of a sudden those two teams in that state?
And now we arrive at the best part about football, because ultimately all this shit has to be settled on the field.
Yep.
I don't care what it all looks like. I don't care what we all predict or talk about. It's one of the few areas of meritocracy left. It's the feelings that you get, even in that old, I'm ostensibly an LSU fan, right? And I'm in the bar watching with LSU fans, watch that Ole Miss game. Is it infuriating during? Is it painful? Absolutely. Does it hurt afterwards? Yes. These immaculate vibes are just sucked out of the room. But you know what? It felt fucking good. The live action drama stress. I love Star Wars. The Ahsoka finale was incredible last night. None of it really comes close to what you feel when you're watching a big game with a team you really care about, with narratives like that hanging in the air. Is Brent Venables better than Steve Sarkisian? Did Oklahoma make the right choice, whereas Texas did not? Is Texas finally going to be able to be back and just slap Oklahoma down, and all of a sudden, oh, no, we are the big dog, even though you spent a decade being the big dog? Can A&M continue to be like A&M has been better than Texas objectively for a decade, and it may not matter.
Nope.
It may not matter.
You didn't win a championship. You never won a championship. You never took advantage of it. You never won a championship. You never won a head-to-head battle. Right? And they never played.
No, and so remember in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when Willy Wonka turns them into little digital bits and they fly into the television? All of these narratives are hanging in the air while these games are going on, and little digital bits. And then once it ends, reality collapses and they coalesce into solid storylines, and we see that, oh my God, Venables and Oklahoma's awesome. Oh my God, Sark truly is back. Oh my God, Jimbo somehow turned around when nobody thought he could. You earn it on the fucking field. Well, that's why college football's great.
This is the weekend, and I think if there's a team that I have more faith in of the three, Oklahoma, Texas, Texas A&M, this is Texas's opportunity to really put a rubber stamp on we are back.
Oh, bro,
and
Texas
we're the big dogs.
They should be number one in the AP and coaches poll if they win this weekend. Full stop.
Easy. But this is opportunity to continue to separate from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Because you have the better coach. You blew them out last year. You won back-to-back seasons. And then if A&M loses to Alabama, you're kind of even flex your muscles even more. Like this is, we talked about it yesterday. Like this is a more of a must-win for Texas than it is Oklahoma. But it's also a dangerous situation for both A&M and Oklahoma heading into this game this weekend, because you and I both know, like, Oklahoma recruits a lot of kids from the state of Texas.
Yeah,
obviously A&M focuses on the state of Texas. Texas could take 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of both those universities in one given weekend.
If I wanted to, and they could, I agree with you. Like this could be a long, horny, wet dream by the end of it. There could be so much that goes right for Burnt Orange. But only thing I'll say on the recruiting front is you can only get so many players. And I feel confident from some of the exercises we did over the summer where we looked at recruiting rankings and everything. Like, I think there's enough to go around no matter what. Like, even if Texas is clearly the best team, you still got enough talent to fund championship teams at A&M and Oklahoma. That's my opinion. I may be wrong.
No, but brand-wise, if there's a 5-star number 1 quarterback in the country, you're going after him. I mean, where's he going right now? He's probably going to Texas.
Well, no, I mean Arch is there, so maybe not, right? But I'm just kidding. I see your point.
I know.
Got me all hot and bothered thinking about everything.
Texas,
everything that's going on.
Texas could be, puffing that chest out pretty big after this weekend if all things go right.
So what is this Texas-Oklahoma war that you're currently involved in on Twitter? Because from where I sit, I win either way this weekend, right? I mean, I shit on both all off season.
You did.
Some would maybe say that this means that I lose either way, but I believe that life is a matter of perspective. So I'm going to prefer to see it as me winning, and whoever loses, I'm going to trade. I told you so. They suck. I don't know what to tell you. Try to tell you.
We'll just say that we are doing a bit, and that I was pro Texas, you were anti Texas, and we kind of just did rock paper scissors to figure out which one was going to go for the pro and the negative. And that you were secretly deep down inside a true Texas believer this offseason.
No, I would never ever go along with that plan. That's the worst stand plan I've ever heard. I objectively thought and maybe I don't think I'm going to be proven right here because I think Texas has the best resume. But
Yeah.
no, I objectively thought that Texas had a culture problem that was impossible to overcome, or at least that Sark was not the guy to overcome said problem.
So you want to hear how I got in the middle of this Texas-Oklahoma war?
Yes.
So Fox or ESPN or someone, I forgot who it was, tweeted out a graphic of the two quarterbacks, like comparing, Dillon Gabriel and Quinn Ewers. And I
just did it as well yesterday.
Yeah, I quote tweeted and said, I'm taking Ewers in this. I'm interested to see what Dillon looks like against pressure. So then all of a sudden, some Oklahoma fans start tweeting at me, well, Dillon Gabriel is 51% against pressure this year, and Quinn Ewers is only 50% completion. I'm like,
that's the difference.
But I never brought up the fact of Quinn Ewers against the pressure. Like, I wasn't making a comparison of the two. I was merely stating that I'm more interested in seeing what Dillon looks like going against a legitimate defense where he's not going to be able to just sit in the pocket because they haven't faced a great defense. Like, Cincinnati has a good defensive line. Cincinnati, and I had their game last week, and the coaching staff told me to my face, like, yeah, we love our two tackles, but we're very thin and inexperienced in the defensive backfield. So, like, I'll take pressure in my face if I know that my receivers are going to win one-on-one battles because I'll just throw it out there. I don't really care.
Yeah.
But in the back of my head, now I'm facing Texas. Not only am I going to get pressure, I'm also going to have better DBs that I can't just win one-on-one consistently at. Like, it's a different beast. And for some reason, Oklahoma fans just couldn't get it through their skull that, like, I like Dillon. I think Dillon's a good quarterback. I just am interested to see, because I don't think the offensive line is very physical, if they're going to be able to hold up physically time in and time out again against one of the best defenses in all of college football this season.
So it's not hard to see why Oklahoma fans are feeling a bit insecure here, right?
Yes.
Because they've been the big dog, much like kind of the A&M thing we were talking about. They've been the big dog for well over a decade in this series. Hell, throughout history, they've been a vastly more successful college football program than has Texas. They have better numbers this year. In fact, the ESPN matchup predictor gives OU a 57% chance of winning, right? They got beat 49-0 last year, which makes them very insecure. It's the most points that Texas has ever scored in the 118-game series, right? And here they sit and they're like, now hold on, we've been the big brother. We've been the main guy for years. And what, now all of a sudden we're chopped liver? Like, none of y'all think we can get it done? Even though our numbers are better? Even though Dillon Gabriel outranked Quinn Ewers in every single quarterback statistic? Even though the team, the computers think we're going to win? And so Oklahoma fans are feeling the friction of they're, looking at evidence that is confirming their worldview. And we're all sitting here saying, but no, watch the film. And our eyes tell us Texas is better. So this is a big human versus robots game as well here. As
someone else kept saying, like, oh, you're just you're way smarter than the numbers, Aaron. So, like, you're just I'm like, wow, we're gonna get into, like, why don't you put me up against a bunch of high school football teams and see what I can do compared to going on the road, against Alabama and Tuscaloosa. Like, there's going to be differences in the stats. Like, I'm sorry, like, yes, there is a human element to this that has to play a part of it, and then also just a fucking common sense element too. They've played a harder schedule. They have.
Actually a significantly harder. I wish I had the numbers in front of me. Somebody in the YouTube chat of my morning radio show today, actually Bilbo, proud, and loyal Snaps listener as well. Him and Emil got together, and I think it was Emil maybe found the numbers, but like, I want to say Texas combined record opponents is like 17-9.
Yeah.
And nobody else is close among the top teams. Everybody else is like, well, under 500 if you're Michigan and Georgia, or right at 500, maybe Michigan. Like, everybody else's teams, like barely any other team's opponents have winning records, much less 17-9. Like, there is no doubt. And then so if Texas wins against this weekend, then it's like, okay, that's why they have to be number one. If they win this weekend, they need to jump Georgia, jump Michigan, jump them all, because at a certain point, the football has to matter. We talked about the Texas wet dream. Let's keep Wet Dream Wednesday rolling right along, and let's look at it from the OU perspective. Look, OU needs revenge here. As I said, 49-0 last year. The defense was shit. It's much better this year. No Dillon Gabriel. You got Gabriel. I know you ain't about to let Texas punk you 2 years in a row. So here's the dream scenario, and this is a long-term dream for Oklahoma fans. You beat Texas this weekend. So immediately, bam, suck it,
Yep.
Sark. Venable's the right guy. Suck it, Riley.
Well, Venables can still be the right guy without winning this football game, though.
Oh, I
Too.
agree. But I'm
Yes.
this is a dream scenario. You
Yep.
beat Texas, you win the Big 12, you make the playoff, and then because of all this, Dylan Gabriel beats Caleb Williams for the Heisman, which again feels crazy unless they were actually to make a championship run. Then it could happen, and then my God, give that Sooner a cigarette because he's gonna need one. That is the ultimate dream for every Boomer Sooner fan out there.
And I brought this up about Texas yesterday. I was like, man, if Texas wins this game, like it's a clear path to the playoffs for them. And you could say the same thing with Oklahoma. Like you look at Oklahoma's schedule. If you win this game, you get UCF, Kansas, who we'll see if Jalen's back and healthy and what the back looks like. Oklahoma State, West Virginia. I don't want to hear your bullshit about it. It's still West Virginia. You get them at home too, at BYU, and then versus TCU. Like for Oklahoma, if you can prove you can win this football game against an elite Texas football team, there is no you are your own worst enemy going forward until most likely you face Texas in the Big 12 championship game. And this goes for both teams. Like this is your opportunity to make a statement to the country that you are a legitimate playoff team, because you're not going to get a lot more primetime games. Like for both teams, you are not going to get a primetime game where a lot of people are going to be tuning in to watch until the Big 12 championship game.
So that is a very good point that you made as well, that we can't ignore in all this. This is probably matchup 1 of 2 with these two teams, which is kind of fascinating because and I've been on the losing side of this and it's awful. That sets up the winning fan base with an immediate insecurity of what if we lose the second one. Because I did it. I mean, I was on the team that beat Alabama regular season 2011 and then lost in the Natty.
But let me play this out. If Texas wins, and Texas is 12-0, Oklahoma's 11-1, Texas obviously has the better resume, just the regular season resume.
No, shut up. If Oklahoma wins the Big 12 championship, they go. Easily. Not even close.
Really?
Get out of here. Full stop. Not even close. Not even close. Not even close, dude. No, yes, that'd be ridiculous. We would have to end college football if you didn't. Sports have always been, and I get what you're saying, but sports have always been what happens in the championship game.
No. I remember when we faced you in 2012, 2011, it didn't matter if we would have won or lost that game. LSU was in the national championship.
Well, it's a kind of a but we're talking.
I know it's a little bit
of apples to oranges.
Because
no other team had a resume to jump us. If Oklahoma had one loss and they avenged that loss in the Big 12 championship, they should go. That's just crazy talk. Stop it. I'm not entertaining it. So you're getting too cute. You're up there in Lake Oconee. You got fucking lake air infecting your nostrils. You're feeling loose and happy. You're getting too cute.
I just think Texas would have built such a brand of they are the best team in college football. I think unless they would get blown out in that game in the Big 12 championship, I still think Texas would get in. Then maybe you can make an excuse at that point that both of them get in. Like,
that's fine. You want to put both in? Sure.
I don't think. Whatever. I think if Texas goes 12-0, it will be hard for me to not have Texas in the playoffs unless Oklahoma blows them out in a Big 12 championship.
Kind of loathe playoff hypotheticals, because a million things can happen. Yeah. I'm just saying, sure, put both of them. I'm saying you can't keep Oklahoma out in that scenario, though. Let's move on to the Big Ten. And Aaron, there were some real interesting numbers, kind of comparing, and Bill Connolly did this, Michigan and Georgia. And what you see is that, both teams have been bad against the spread this year, right? Which is normally the sign of a wobbly team. But in Michigan's case, they're 1-3-1, but it's because they literally only play the first 45 minutes. Yeah. And then the starters come out and they chill for the fourth quarter. In Georgia's case, it's the inverse. They start really slow and they have to finish really strong, right? And so we could there are some interesting parallels here. For instance, Michigan in quarter one, their outscoring opponents 42-7. In second quarter, it's 58-6. Third quarter is 55-0. And then the fourth is 17-17. Interestingly, UGA, the exact inverse. 17-17 in the first quarter, 72-21 in the second, 63-7 in the third, and 41-20 in the fourth. So
I like the second one better.
What? No, the second one is absolutely the sign of a more wobbly team. But that's not the point here. I'm not here to shit on Georgia. Yes, what do you mean? Yes, it is. Michigan's not 17-17 in the fourth because they're playing bad. It's because they've taken all the starters out.
Why do we like Oregon more than USC right now? Teams with very similar skill sets, personnel, coaching. Because Oregon can play a 4-quarter game. I do think at some point you have to prove that you can play a 4-quarter football game.
Okay.
And you can win the fourth.
Okay.
USC has shown us they're a little vulnerable in the fourth. They're a little soft.
Through your red and black blinders, you have accidentally stumbled on to the question that I wanted to ask. I don't care about Georgia. I did want to ask this about Michigan, and it sounds kind of dumb, but will they be ready to play 60 minutes? Truly, will they? Because they're not going to play a team that's even in the top 40 of S&P Plus until week 11. They go to Penn State, to Maryland, is pretty frisky, and then Ohio State as home. And they are not just beating people, Aaron. They are demolishing people. How about this? A Michigan opponent has not run a single play inside the Wolverines' 10-yard line. Not a single play. Not one. I think Rutgers got to like the 11, and then they had a false start, and then they got a sack, and then they had to kick a field. Not a single play inside the 10. Blake Corum, 24 carries in the first quarter, 20 in the second, 26 in the third, 4 in the fourth. The guys only are playing 45 minutes. And so it's like, okay, you go two ways. Do you have fresh legs the first time you hit one of these fights? Or are you out of condition? Are you mentally
we're gonna start hearing what we've heard from Kirby Smart from Hardball here soon. What has Kirby Smart said for the past 2 years? Because Georgia's been in the same situation. Like, they haven't had to play 4 quarters of football. Well, Monday through Friday is significantly harder than Saturday. We'll be fine because we grind so hard Monday through Friday. We'll be fine because we're doing good on good, every single day of practice. And we make practice so damn hard that it doesn't really matter that our guys play 45 minutes instead of 60 minutes on a start. Like, that's going to be their excuse. And it's worked for Georgia. It's worked for Georgia for 2 damn years. That if you can prove to us that you bust your ass so hard and you go good on good, because it's a great defense, it's a great offense for Michigan. And if you have that type of practice mentality, you can, in their minds, overcome the lack of conditioning or mental fatigue of playing in a 60-minute ball game.
Okay, well, we're going to find out if that's true.
You can trick yourself.
You're going to find out if that's true, because Michigan's going to have a few months of sleepwalking. Unless a random Illinois fight appears, but the Big Ten is so top heavy and so bottom shitty this year that I don't know. I said
Minnesota, Indiana, Michigan State, Purdue.
Yeah, I said it on Rivals yesterday, but the Big Ten truly is the 3-boobed girl from Total Recall, right? 3 big, beautiful breasts, but just no ass to speak of.
I would say like 2.5 big, beautiful breasts.
No, dude, give it to Penn State. You got to stop fighting against Penn State.
No, they're the redhead stepchild. They're the ones that just are always like lurking there, but will never be to the other two.
And look, to be fair, for our female listeners, you could just think of 3 like big, sexy balls as well. I know women just love like
2 that are well groomed and 1 that's a little fuzzy. I think the fuzzy one's Penn State.
I mean, that's true, right? I feel like I know women pretty well, not as well as you, Aaron, but girls love like balls, right? Just love them.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think
they find all male genitalia like
not
really appealing.
No. From my experience, they see some big old testicles and get pretty fired up. It really just gets them going. I mean, I don't know if there's anything weirder than testicles, to be honest.
I know.
Sorry. Okay, let's get back to football. So we'll see with Michigan. LSU's defense is what I want to talk about next, and that's because
do you want to talk about them? Do you?
I can, because I have to point this out. We can. There is The Athletic does a defensive update every week where all they look at is stop rate. And in a world where we have EPA and passing success rate and all this stuff, and I like all that stuff, stop rate is beautiful because it is easy to understand, and it's probably the single best number to indicate how a defense is doing. All stop rate is is the percentage of time when your opponent gets the ball. What is the percentage of time that you're getting off the field without giving up points? Full stop. I don't care if they go 90 yards. If you get a pick, that's a stop. Okay. So if they punt, they turn it over on downs, or they turn it over, that is a stop. If they get a field goal touchdown, that's stop. Right now, I remember last week we said going into Ole Miss that LSU was one of the only top 25 teams that, like, I think they were the only one outside the top 100. I think they might have been the only one outside the top 50 in stop rate. So they were like already outlier bad. Then you saw what happened this weekend. Aaron, the Louisiana State Tigers, a school built on the legacies of Corey Webster, Patrick Peterson, Glenn Dorsey, Tyrann Mathieu, Eric Reed. They are the literal worst team in the Power 5 when it comes to stop rate. Full stop. Entire Power 5. Right now, if you touch the ball and that LSU defense, which used to strike fear into people's heart, that defense is staring at you, Aaron, you have a 67.1% chance of scoring.
Jeez.
LSU is stopping opponents, and that's with Grambling included. They're stopping opponents 42.9% of the times. And so I want to play an exercise here just to really drive this home. And first off, they're 125th in the country, but I want to focus on the Power 5 because this really nails the point. Like, think about the worst teams in the Power 5. Virginia, worse. Houston, worse. Nebraska, Michigan State, Rutgers, Pitt, Stanford, Cal, Florida, Vanderbilt. Hell, how about this? We talk about USC. Make fun of them all the time, right? USC's got a stop rate of 70% compared to LSU's 42, nearly doubling them up. We talk about Colorado's offense being shitty. They're 80th, 59% compared to your 42. A&M 72%, UGA 78. Michigan stops opponents 87.5% of the time, and you're out here at 42. Pathetic. And that's what Brady Cook and Luther Burden get to go against this weekend.
Yeah, and you just keep I keep pinching myself because I look at the roster and I'm just like, okay, it's gonna click, and it's gonna click. But at some point, for LSU fans, you just have to just understand what reality is. It's not clicking, and who you are right now is kind of who you are. And I had that Grambling State game. I remember being there in Baton Rouge, and yeah, you won 72-10. But Grambling was moving the football up and down. I mean, they had 163 rush yards, almost 6-yard average, 320 yards. It's Grambling State put over 300 yards on you. And then I was like, you just start making excuses like, well, maybe they weren't focused. You have to stop at this point. You have to stop with the excuses, and you just have to accept the fact that you're just not a good defensive team, no matter how many first rounders are on that side of the football. It's not clicking, and you're going to have to rely on Jaden to be Superman every single game.
Well, and so ultimately, this was kind of my point in bringing all of this up, is that Brian Kelly, it's a bit of a make or break game for him in some ways, not in terms of being fired. You're married. We're not A&M. LSU's not. They don't have the economics to buy him out or whatever. But my point is, Brian Kelly spent a lot of this week talking about how, we're just so young and inexperienced in the second.
He's been making a lot of excuses.
That's what I'm saying.
Making a lot. He did it after what game was it that he started making a lot of excuses?
Not wanting to put anything on the coaches.
Yeah.
And when it's this bad, let's be clear. Players have culpability. Coaches have culpability. Recruiting misses. Bad luck. There's bad luck as well. I mean, it's awful what happened to Greg Brooks. Continue to pray for his recovery. It's awful what happened to Coach Lindsey, the D-line coach right before the season, right? So it's a bit of everything. But my point is, they're out here saying it's not coaches, it's the players, it's the secondary. But here's my deal. You can't be dead last in the Power 5 when you have 2 returning All-Americans in your front 7.
Yeah.
Mekhi Wingo was the highest graded interior defensive lineman last season while playing 30 more snaps than any other one. And he's back. Harold Perkins was a phenom last season, and he's back. Full stop. I don't care. You got those 2 players. You can't be dead last unless the coaches are doing an awful job. And Matt House makes
they have a worse rush defense than Vanderbilt.
Okay, exactly. Vanderbilt, better stop rate. Matt House is one of 5 defensive coordinators that make $2 million a year. $2 million. And it's just it's a masterclass of failure. And if you lose in Como this weekend, which could happen,
It could
make
happen.
no mistake, you're 4-5 in your last 9 with wins over a hapless Purdue and Grambling State. It's and then you kind of look around and you say, well, what was the point of it all? I thought going from O to Kelly was supposed to, and that's where we get back to trading on the prestige that an Alabama win gives you. Thank God, BK, and they did, so you don't take this away. But BK should be thanking God that they got that 2-point conversion in Tiger Stadium last year, because without that, who knows where the temperature is right now? Because otherwise, you're a 9-5 team, or maybe
that's the hard part, because it's great to win that game versus Alabama. It's great to be in the SEC championship game against Georgia last season, but then you set the bar so high, and he started. I mean,
no, fuck this. They got a championship offense. The expectations.
I know, but he said it all off season.
Colorado.
He said it all off season about the defense. He said, "Listen, this secondary is not what we are going to be." He hinted at it, or like he warned us. And I think, and same thing, like I've talked about this before with Georgia, like Kirby warned us that this defense, y'all are going to be praising us because we return all these guys, but like there are some key positions that I don't feel good about. And you think I'm lying because we've recruited well here, but like I'm telling you right now, I do not feel good about certain positions on this defense, and it's showing. And Kelly told us too. Like it was, and you kind of like laugh it off as a fan, or as what we do with our show, kind of like, he's just kind of preparing for the worst, but the worst ain't gonna happen, because they do have all these All-Americans, because they have Mason Smith back, and Wingo, and Harold Perkins, and this guy and that guy. Like, he's just like not. It's true. It's true. He told us we were fools by not listening to Brian Kelly 3 months ago.
No, don't do that.
Maybe not to this extreme.
No.
Maybe not to this extreme.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe not to this extreme.
Do my best.
Not to this extreme. I agree. If you would have believed what he was saying, then maybe like, okay, well, maybe they'll be middle of the pack. Maybe they'll be like the 7th, 8th best team in the SEC. That's fine. So I get, yes. But I will agree with you in the sense of like, this has gone too far now. This has gone way too far.
Mekhi Wingo looks like a bad football player. Harold Perkins looks like a bad football player. He's played okay. He's the only body.
Not as good as last year.
No, I'm saying him and Whit Weeks are the only ones that even have a pulse. But yeah, not even close. So my point is, okay, the guys that you told me are going to suck, it's okay for them to suck. But I'm going to hold you accountable when the guys that have already been All-American come out here and look pedestrian. Okay? Like Coach Joe says, Aaron, I'll lie for you before I lie to you. Okay? And I ain't tell no lie. So all my point is, it's got to get better, and it's got to get better quick. God damn, I love Club Shay Shay as well, by the way. The beast mode sit down with Shannon today is incredible. Glad to have him on the team. And I love Ocho, dude. We got to figure out a way of getting Ocho on our show somehow. Aaron.
Love to.
That would be sick.
And the boss man.
Hey, guess what kicks off today? 40 days of football.
Ooh.
From today on, we will have, because I believe the Sun Belt Wednesdays start up tonight. And then obviously we have matching on Tuesdays.
AAC has a new deal where they're going to have some games. I'll be on some of those games.
Oh, wow. Brumley said 50 days. We should do a Josh Hartnett 50 days and nights challenge. No climaxing until we have a day without football. You in?
No. I haven't seen Sharon in 4 days. It's happening tomorrow.
Oh, snap. What do you do? You give her the purr. Hit her with the purr. Oh God. You kind of sound like a Wookiee a little bit. That's what I do. Yeah, that's what I do to Kate.
That's the sound for later. That's
that's after. Is that at the finish? Wow. That's so weird. Speaking of climaxing, you think Urban Meyer is going to be Michigan State's next head coach?
Oh my God. How do you go from a coach that did what he did to Urban Meyer and some of his off the field shenanigans? You can't do it. You just can't. You need to bring in someone that's squeaky clean.
Yeah.
Squeaky clean.
Squeaky clean indeed. Hey, speaking of squeaky clean,
Urban back to Florida?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. It's the old big cat meme, right? Sometimes to go
Mhm.
forward, you got to go back.
Yeah,
What was it? You know what was squeaky clean fun? Did you watch that Toy Story game on Sunday?
I did not.
It's actually awesome. I would say put the kids in front of it, and it's on Disney Plus now, and see if they like it. Like my daughters are like legitimately hyped for it. They were loving it.
Nice.
They didn't last the whole game or anything, but like
Yeah,
yeah,
but
maybe
maybe
like
like a quarter of it would be fun.
they have like the crane spotting the ball. They have Slinky Dog as a first down marker. Virtual Booger was awesome. Very cool. Very cool. All right. That'll do it for today's snaps. Thank you all for hanging out with us. YouTube.com/@volume-snaps. Por favor, hit the like button, subscribe. And then, yeah, it helps us, man. And then you can just Google Snaps Podcast, which I love to report the podcast is killing it over a year ago. So thank you. Please continue to share it with your friends. And yeah, a massive thank you to Pat Gunther, Ryan Brumley, Danny Cardenas, Chris Tran, Christian Hunter, and Adam Gracia for everything they do here on the squad as well. But the biggest of all, thank you to all of you who listen and share and spend your time with us. Do not take that lightly. We love you. Aaron, enjoy the lake life, and we'll see you tomorrow for a brand new episode of Snaps.